before the end of the year.
Well, welcome to the Jewish community of Sedona and the Verde Valley. I see we have some guests, and I am Rabbi Alicia Magal, and this is like my 18th or 19th Purim here, and every year it's different. And oh, my friends, it is so different this year. And we feel in our hearts the war. We're wearing Bring the Hostages Home. We have a kind of a dark cloud behind us, but even in Israel, they're celebrating Purim. Even in dark times, we have to find joy. We have to find moments of lightness. We are supposed to bring light. That's who we are, even in the dark times. And so today I wrote a spiel for Purim, and I hope you enjoy it. It's a little different, and I hear there's going to be a surprise guest. Thank you for those good Purim songs. Now I say the blessing for reading the Megillah. And the blessing is actually for you to hear the Megillah. We read the whole thing, the ganze Megillah last night. Today, we'll kind of spoof it with a very special spiel. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al mikra Megillah. You got it, amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asa nisim lavotenu bayamim hahem bazman hazeh.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechiyanu v'kimanu v'higiyanu lazman hazeh.
Amen.
Vayehi b'yemei Achashverosh, hu Achashverosh hamelech mehodu ad Kush, sheva ve'esrim u'mea medina bayamim hahem keshevet hamelech Achashverosh. Al kisei malchuto asher b'Shushan habira bishnat shalosh lamalcho asa mishte lochol sara ve'avadav chel paras umadai hapartamim v'sarei hamedinot lefanav.
Shalom Aleichem.
Who are you?
Oh, you don't recognize me. I'm your ancestor, the prophet Elijah.
Oh, well,
I read in your newsletter as it flew by me from an internet satellite that you're having a Purim Spiel today.
yes,
Is
we
this
are.
the right place?
Absolutely the right place. And I heard a prophecy that there would be a new and mysterious stranger as a guest. I'm so glad it's you.
Ah, thank you. Frankly, I only get out at Pesach to visit everyone's Seder, where I sip from their Elijah's cup. Frankly, I enjoy the first few, but then it's a bit too much. I always have to nurse a giant hangover in the morning from too much wine.
I can imagine.
Of course. So today, rather than a long night of Seder meals and readings, I'd love to participate in a fun, short Purim Spiel. Then I want to nash on a few tasty Hamantaschen. You know, Hamantaschen are chametz, so they're never available during Passover.
I forgot that. I didn't think about it.
Oh, Rabbi, thanks for understanding the tsuris of a 3,000-year-old wandering prophet. I'd love to stay and listen to the story of Esther.
Absolutely. Have a seat. Come join us.
Thank you.
King Ahasuerus is having a party for his nobles that has lasted 3 months, and it's going to continue with lots of feasting and drinking and entertainment. He sends a servant to the women's quarters and commands Vashti, the queen, to appear and dance for the guests wearing her royal crown and little else.
What's this message? I am supposed to go dance and entertain those drunken nobles who are having an extended party given by my foolish husband, the king? What a decision. Should I obey?
Ah, Queen Vashti, that's a good question to ask yourself. The choice is yours to make. I won't make it for you. You can be foolish or wise, hateful or kind. fearful or courageous. But to help you in deciding, listen to this advice from a wise Jewish woman. This is Betty Friedan, a top women's liberation movement leader.
I am Betty Friedan. I say, do not buy into these obsolete sex roles which our marriages were based on. Show me more of the reality of yourself. Keep your dignity.
That's one great viewpoint about women's role. But let's also hear another opinion from Phyllis Shapley, who spoke out against the feminist movement.
Be proud of your femininity and please your husband. Go out there and dance and make him proud.
Well, Vashti, those are two very different opinions. Now, what is your choice?
It is a big decision, but I'm not standing for any more of this degrading attitude. I'm going to leave and start my own business as a beauty consultant.
So Vashti made her choice. Now the king must make his choice.
What's this? Vashti won't obey me and dance for my guests when I commanded her to be here immediately? I'm confused. In fact, I'm enraged.
King, you too now have a choice. You're very upset and your wife is unhappy and frustrated. Now you can be foolish or wise, hateful or kind, fearful or courageous. So let's get some advice for you too. Yours is a situation that many men throughout history have had to face. Let's listen to what Woodrow Wilson, America's 28th president and an early supporter of women's rights, had to say about it.
Initially, women's suffrage wasn't important to me. However, when so many women were arrested for demanding their rights and even went on a hunger strike while in prison, I rethought my stand. In my 1918 speech before the Congress, I felt compelled to endorse women's rights to vote. Realizing the vitality of women during the First World War, I exhorted Congress, we have made partners of women in this war. Shall we admit them only to a partnership of suffering and sacrifice and toil, and not to a partnership of privilege and right?
Good point, Mr. President. But you lived 100 years ago. Let's listen now to what someone has to say who lives among us here and now.
Yes,
Talmud. No.
yes, a woman writes. I had a career in Hollywood, working at the studio and on location around the world. But I am so proud of my wife, who became a rabbi and now serves this congregation in Sedona and Verdeland Valley. I listen to her and support her decision. You should let talented women to
Do her thing.
her thing.
Thank you,
Sure.
Yitzhak. Thank you, sweetie. That was Yitzhak the Hubbardston.
Sir, you are a real mensch. I approve. Sadly, though, you are an exception. Most Hollywood hotshots like you have taken a different approach, like this tycoon.
I always want to have a beautiful girl on my arm. I have power and can promise to help their careers. And they're only too happy to do whatever I ask. If one doesn't please me, there's always another pretty face to take her place.
Hey, yes, I agree with the last guy, and I'm going to make my choice. Vashti is banished. I'll find another queen, but I'll need help. How about everybody here in costume, parading around, and maybe among this group, I will find my new queen. Music plays.
Shalom Aleichem. Ereinu Shalom, Shalom, Shalom Aleichem. Ereinu Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem. Ereinu Shalom Aleichem. Ereinu Shalom, Shalom, Shalom Aleichem. Ereinu La 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 la.
And all the women followed her just as she had planned. Forward,
La 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 la.
to now. We're getting close.
La 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 la. La 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 la.
Yes, and dance
La
the
la
whole
la
time.
la.
Well, I have to say, there is one lovely young woman who caught my eye. There she is. My servant said her name is Esther. Come here, my dear. Come here. Will you be my queen?
Who is this Esther? Let's find out how she is introduced as the niece of Mordecai, a Jew.
יהודי היה בשושן הבירה, ושמו מרדכי, בן יאיר, בן שמעי, בן קיש, איש ימיני, אשר הגלה מירושלים, עם הגולה אשר הגלתה, עם יחוניה מלך יהודה, אשר הגלה נבוכדנצר מלך בבל, ויהי אומן את הדסה, היא אסתר בת דודו, כי אין לה אב ואם, והנערה יפת תואר, בטובת מראה ובימות אביה ואימה, לקחה מרדכי לא לבד. Now get ready with those noisemakers because you know what name is going to come up very soon.
Mordecai, Esther's uncle, stays near the palace gates and he hears about a plot to assassinate the king. He reports this to the guards, who write it down in the daily journal. The king's advisor, Haman, walks among the people and expects them to bow down to him. Mordecai will not bow down to anyone except God. Haman learns that Mordecai is a Jew, and he plots to get even by asking the king to rid the kingdom of all Jews.
Oy, Mordecai, by not bowing down to Haman, you jeopardized your life and the lives of all Persian Jews. Now you too face a choice. which also can be foolish or wise, hateful or kind, fearful or courageous. In fact, your decision is like what my fellow prophet Daniel and his friends Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego had to decide. They refused to bow to the Persian king, Nebuchadnezzar's golden idol, and they were thrown into a fiery furnace. Here's what they have to say to you.
We knew that God would be with us. He saved us from the furnace, which made Nebuchadnezzar rethink his vendetta against the Jews and God in a more positive light.
And let's skip ahead a few centuries to when Greek leaders waged war against the Jews. The Greek army won and took over our holy temple, which they defiled. A leading family of that time, called the Maccabees, refused to bow down to their Greek idols. And here's what the eldest son, Judah the Maccabee, has to tell you.
We were a small but dedicated band of fighters. With God's help, we outsmarted and defeated the Greeks. We took back our temple, thoroughly cleaned it, rededicated it, which is why Jews today celebrate Hanukkah.
These Jewish heroes made brave choices. Sadly, over the centuries, many Jews were forced to convert to other religions and bow down to other gods. Some even did so willingly. Now, with this kind and that kind of fellow Jew in mind, what choice will you make, Mordecai?
Of course, I knew I was risking punishment when I refused to bow down to Haman. However, my loyalty is to our God, and I have total faith that God will protect us.
Mordecai was right. Haman went to the king to present his evil plan.
O king, there's a people in this land that lives by different rules and is a danger to you and our rulers. They don't fit here. I urge you to get rid of them all, kill them or expel them. Hey, narrator, pick a number from 1 to 30 for me.
14.
Great. How about the 14th of Adar?
Yes, that's great. Thank you for the suggestion. We don't want to deal with anyone who is different from us. There is no room at all for that.
Wait, King Haman? You two still have a choice here. You can be foolish or wise, hateful or kind, fearful or courageous. You might agree with what other horrific anti-Semites throughout history, especially one whose name starts with H and was even worse than you are. Hear what he had to say.
Jews don't deserve advantages. They should be banned from schools and government. They want to take over the leadership of all countries. Have no sympathy at all for them. Accuse them of not upholding human rights.
Ugh. Thank heaven the Jewish people have also had many good friends. In fact, your first American president wrote to support freedom for the Jews in America.
Here is what I, George Washington, wrote in my letter to the Jews of Newport, Rhode Island in 1790. May the children of the stock of Abraham who dwell in this land continue to merit and enjoy the goodwill of the other inhabitants, while everyone shall sit in safety under his own vine and fig tree, and there shall be none to make him afraid.
Wow, you were quite a mensch too. You Americans were lucky to have him. And many other supporters of our people understood all the good that Jews have brought to the world. They appreciated our contributions to social activism, to science, to technology, to medicine and the arts. One admirer was Eleanor Roosevelt. Even though she grew up at a time when anti-Semitism was widespread, during World War II, she reminded Americans about the Jewish people's contributions to society.
What of the things that bothers me is that when people are in trouble, whether it's the Dust Bowl or the miners, whoever it is, and I see the need for help, the first people who come forward and try to offer help are the Jews. Now in these terrible days, when they desperately need help, where are the others to help the Jews?
That was good.
Yes. And many other leaders around the world also fought for human rights and the cause of peace. One was the president of our traditional enemy, Egypt.
I'm Anwar Sadat, president of Egypt during and after the Yom Kippur War. I decided peace was possible, and I came to Jerusalem to make peace with the Jews in my time.
Yes, and another model for us was Nelson Mandela, the revolutionary hero of South Africa.
I'm Nelson Mandela. I could have asked for the revenge after 27 years in prison for fighting against apartheid in South Africa. But when I was released, I sought peace and became the first democratically elected president of South Africa. I believe in reconciliation, peace, justice, and human dignity.
And here's what our own civil rights leader, Martin Luther King Jr., said in 1958 to the American Jewish Committee.
My people were brought to America in chains. Your people were driven here to escape the chains fashioned for them in Europe. Our unity is born of our common strength for centuries, not only to rid ourselves of bondage, but to make oppression for any people by others an impossibility.
So, King Haman, after hearing these wise words, what choices will each of you make?
I hate the Jews, especially Mordecai, who refuses to bow down to me. I will not repent. I will not forgive. I will not stop. I will destroy them all, and I will hang Mordecai on the gallows I've prepared for him.
Fine by me. I'm easily swayed by people around me. I don't want to be bothered with actual facts or too much thinking.
We choose violence and destruction of the Jews in our kingdom.
Oy vey, you'll be sorry.
Oh, Esther, have you heard? The king has sent out a decree to massacre all the Jews. You have influence. The king loves you. Go to the king and plead for your life. Perhaps this is exactly why you were sent here at this time.
But uncle, no one can go to the king unless he invites them, or else they can be put to death. And I am so afraid.
Oh, Esther, now you have a choice to make. This is the choice that we're all gathered here to remember. You must decide whether to risk your life and go to the king, or to remain silent and let your people perish. You must decide whether to be a queen or a slave, a savior or a bystander, a heroine or a coward. Throughout our history, many of us have had to decide whether they would endanger themselves to aid their people. For example, Henrietta Jold could have stayed comfortable in her well-to-do family, but she went to the Holy Land, saw terrible conditions there, and she said,
It is important to work for the safety and well-being of our people. Take the risk. I established Hadassah hospitals and nurse training in what has now become a whole system of hospitals and healthcare and medical research that benefits people around the world.
and the American civil rights pioneer Rosa Parks had this to say.
I could have moved to the back of the bus, but I stayed in my seat. I was nobody famous or important, but I gave my people pride and strength to end segregation. You never know what one action can lead to.
And if you haven't made up your mind yet, here's what yet another courageous woman known by many people here, would like to tell you.
I am your rabbi's mother, Nika. I too had to hide being Jewish during the Holocaust, as you, Esther, did when you came to the palace, until it was the right time, and I could then help others. But I do have one piece of advice. Feed your husband first, and then you ask for a favor.
That's a good tip. But not every Jewish woman was so wise and so brave. Here's a last viewpoint from a woman who was too scared even to tell us her name.
I need to look out for myself. I wouldn't risk speaking out. Let others take care of themselves. You'll be safe in the palace. How can you dare to approach the king if he hasn't even sent for you? Hide, stay quiet, stay safe.
So Esther, you've heard several opinions. What choice will you make?
Well, I have made my choice. I will risk my life and go to the king. I will not remain silent. I will not let my people perish. I will reveal my identity and expose the evil plot planned by Haman. I will be brave. I will also take Nika's advice. I'll invite the king and his advisor, that nasty man Haman, to a banquet, and then I'll make a plea for my life and the lives of my people.
This scene of Esther inviting the king to a feast is described in detail in the Megillah. Let's hear the rabbi chanting those verses.
ויהי ביום השלישי, ותלבש אסתר מלכות, ותעמוד בחצר בית המלך הפנימית, נוכח בית המלך. והמלך יושב על כיסא מלכותו בבית המלכות, נוכח פתח הבית, ויהי כראות המלך את אסתר המלכה עומדת בחצר, נשא חן בעיניו, ויושט המלך לאסתר את שרביט הזהב אשר בידו. Yeah, that's about the putting out the scepter. אשר בידו, ותקרב אסתר ותיגע בראש השרביט, ויאמר לה המלך, מולך אסתר המלכה, ומה בקשתך עד חצי המלכות, ויינתן לך. ותאמר אסתר, אם על המלך טוב, ויבוא המלך והמן היום אל המשתה אשר עשתה לו, עשיתי לו.
Well, Esther, that was a grand feast. But I think you invited me for more than just a meal. What is on your mind? Ask. Ask anything, up to half of my kingdom, and it will be yours.
Oh, my husband and my king, I need your protection. There is one close to you who convinced you to make a decree against me and my people.
Of course I'll protect you. But why? Wait, what? Who are your people that are threatened?
You sent a decree to have all the Jews in the kingdom expelled or killed on the 14th of Adar, and I am Jewish.
Oh, so that's why you light candles on Friday night. Who was the one who suggested such a terrible injustice?
It was your own advisor, Haman.
No. I was supposed to be honored. I was supposed to ride through the town on the king's horse and be wearing the king's own robe. Now what'll happen?
I heard that it was Mordecai the Jew who found out about a plot against my own life. He is the one to be rewarded. You will lead him through the town on my horse to show that he is being honored by me. And you, Haman, you and your sons will be hanged for your evil plans.
And so it was. Mordecai, Esther's uncle, was honored, and Haman and his sons were hanged. This is how it's described in the Megillah. And listen as our rabbi chants the names of all 10 sons in just one breath.
ובשושן הבירה הרגו היהודים ועבד 500 איש. ואת פרשנדתה ודלפון ואספתה ופורתה דדליה ארידה פרמשתה אריסאי ארידאי וזסתה בני המן. בן המדתה צורר היהודים והרגו ובביזה לא שלחו את ידם.
Thank you so much, Rabbi. What a wonderful story. And thank you, Purim Spiel cast members, for reminding this old prophet about how Mordecai and Queen Esther chose to take great risks to foil the harm planned by the king and his evil advisor, Haman. In ancient Persia, thank God, evil was overcome and the righteous were rewarded. But that happened only because our ancestors in that situation made ethical and courageous choices. And we are lucky to have the other examples set by the historical leaders who advised our characters to do the right thing, and even from the others who thought only of themselves. It's because of this critical moment in our history that we Jewish people gather annually to hear this Megillah. It reminds all of us that the choices we make today are the ones that will decide what sort of future we will have. The choices we make in this life will affect our eternity. On behalf of my fellow prophets in Jewish history, I bring blessings to all of you in dealing with the challenges that you, your friends, and your families, and our people in Israel face today. I urge you to choose love over hate, to choose wisely, choose kindly, choose courageously in whatever way you handle them. May God bless you and keep you. And I want to thank you all for letting me join your Sedona Purim Spiel. I've loved being with you. So I'll say goodbye for now. I'll be seeing you again next month at your Passover Seders. This year, please, just put a little spritz of wine in my glass. I'm trying to watch my weight. One more thing before I leave. I can't wait to enjoy some tasty Hamantaschen in the social hall. So it's shalom to all of you, and to thank you again to all the cast members and the author of this wonderful Purim Spiel. Let's give them a well-deserved hand. Yay!